My gear is completely jacked up. But I still think it might be worth a look. What do you guys think? Should we go over it just a little bit? Just with the caveat that my gear is completely borked. We probably could. Let's do it. Now that we're in World Tier 3, we kind of just got here. We could take a look at what my character's up to. So this is my double swing stun Zerker Barbarian. He is still definitely a work in progress, but I've sort of transitioned out of the 2-shout stomp death blow leveling build into going back into surprise 3-shout stomp. I think 3 shouts is gonna be fine for right now. We could go for some different stuff, but I think this is something that I was thinking we'd probably end up using in PvP, except for instead of stomp we'll probably use iron skin. But either way, we can go over the basics real quick just to walk you through what I've got going on this guy at the moment, which is a really jacked up set of gear. His stat allocation, his aspects, a lot of these are not very good, but I'll show them to you. But then what I really want to show you guys is the talents. But let's do the gear first, because that's how we usually do it. We have Disobedience on the helmet, which is great. The actual stats of the item itself, Garbanzo. We are mid-leveling. I'm literally just putting on gear and calling it good. Here, I want, like, max life, percent armor, cooldown reduction, and, like, you know, some stats would be probably pretty good. That would be fine on a helmet. For chest, we have barrier aspect, which is fine. Again, on chest piece, you want, like... I still think that life, armor percent, is great, but you can go no life, you just go armor percent, and then 3 different types of damage reduction would be great on chest. Gloves, I have crit strike, double swing levels. I mean, eventually you would have 4 stats on them, right? So like attack speed, crit, double swing. Potentially even lucky hit on these gloves would be fine. Or something else, like stats, like strength or whatever. One thing I want to look out for on gear are things like berserking duration. Or not berserking duration, damage while berserking, which I have on weapons. I don't know if you can find anywhere else, but I'm gonna find out. You need that. Johannes, thanks for the prime, man. Big flex for you. Appreciate it, dude. On my pants, we have... This is excellent for my build. We had to drop the pants that had this on them, and we got it back, which is great. On Lucky Hit, you have a 35% chance to gain Fortify whenever you deal damage, direct damage while berserking, and this build is literally always berserk, pretty much. It is very nice. This is health, stats, potion capacity, whatever. Same thing with legs. I think I'd like life, percent armor, and then damage reduction stats would be great. Movement speed, again, kind of just random stuff, but they do have the when there are at least 5 close enemies, you stun them for 3 seconds. Amazing for this build. Yeah, you can get on rings, definitely, so I will be trying to get it on rings. Definitely. Here you want movement speed, fury cost reduction, berserking duration would be excellent, and then, you know, something else, like a fortified generation would be fine too on boots. I don't even have an aspect of my opening because it's too expensive to put on there. I don't have the materials. But it has damage while berserking and vulnerable damage. That's great. You'll notice that I socket my weapons with skulls for life on kill. For this, you can do percent life. You can do blue gems for damage while fortified if you're good at fortify at this level. This one, thorns while berserking, not amazing, but it is kind of cute because we are always berserk, so we always have a good amount of thorns rolling. The actual stats on the item itself, like the affixes, are completely just random junk. But ideally, you want to use maces for this. I do have a sword because it dealt big damage at the time. But eventually, I'd like to have a mace. What this does have imprinted on it is casting double swing twice within 2 seconds creates a dust devil, which is hilarious. We have 2 sources of dust devil. Well, maybe only 1 now. It actually pops off this dust devil thing. It is hilarious. I love it, actually. I don't know how to do it for PvP, but for PvE, it's kind of funny to have dust devils just all over the screen. Then we are definitely casting double swing twice within 2 seconds because we do have accelerating. Not maxed out, but we do have accelerating on the two-hander for a super fast attack speed after you crit. This is my favorite aspect of the whole game. Once I start using this, you really cannot use anything else. It's just way too much fun, way too good. It does have damage while berserking, all stats, damage to bleeding, which is whatever, but everything is bleeding because that's just how it goes. I am using the two-handed sword expertise to make everything bleed because we have, I didn't talk about this. We are using the anemia aspect on the gloves. Direct damage against bleeding enemies has a chance to stun them. I'm really stacking a ton of chances to stun mobs. Usually, like, elites will go on diminishing returns, they become immune, but you want things to be stunned so you can just, like, constantly attack, because that's how double swing works. whenever you hit something with double swing, it gives you that, or whenever you hit something that's stunned or knocked down or frozen, with double swing, it gives you 25 rage. So it's good. I'm using shout skills generate fury on my ring just because I want that fury generation. The stats on the ring are kind of random. Ideally, for PvE stuff, you want like probably vulnerability, crit chance, crit damage, and then resource generation. For my build for PvP, we might not need crit damage. Might go something like resource generation, vuln, crit chance, and berserk duration would be pretty cool. Or sorry, I can't keep on duration. Berserk damage while berserking would be great. Could get life on there too. You have options for PvP, but this is what I'm looking at right now. Yep. This is yeah, Rod. Thanks so much for the 131, man. Big flex for it. Appreciate it, dude. Huge resub, man. Longest resub on the whole channel. That's crazy, man. Thank you, dude. Welcome back. You're a legend. On this ring, we have the cooldown reduction on shouts depending on how many enemies are around you when you shout. This is actually available in your codex now when you complete like level 2 of the season journey or whatever. You get this. This is a cool ring. It's got crit chance, vulnerable damage, damage to close. Those are all excellent, sort of, to have at this point. Again, no resource generation is sad, but that's I'm really not like worried about min-maxing my gear until much later. We're only in the fairly kind of beginning of World Tier 3 right now, so we ain't stressing. I should mention though that you'll see after spending a certain amount of primary resource, my next attack stuns enemies hit for 2 seconds. Another source of stun for the build. When I say this is a stun Zerker, I mean it. And similarly, your skills have a 32% chance to knock down all enemies for 1.25 seconds when that skill's attack speed is higher than 26%, which is all the time on my attacks now. But as long as I have this thing proc, basically. So we're knocking down enemies, we're stunning enemies, we're stunning them on AoE when there's 5 enemies around. We're stunning them when I've spent a certain amount of rage. We're stunning them when they're bleeding. We're stunning them when I'm using maces, and now we're knocking them down when I have a certain amount of attack speed, if I didn't already count that already. And I have ground stomp, so we have a lot of ways to stun enemies. So in PvE this is fine, in PvP it could be hilarious. We will see. Kind of a junk amulet, but what we did find is a Wrathful Heart that cycles between attack speed, core and basic skills have a chance to restore your primary resource fully, which is amazing. And then you also have like a barrier, so it cycles between those every 20 kills. I think you get this Wrathful Heart just from doing the season, like the battle pass completion or seasonal journey is what it is actually. So everybody gets this. Maybe I'll use a different one eventually, but this one is very good. So that's my kind of like junk gear right now. Some of the aspects are very, very good. Some of them are kind of random. It's pretty fun regardless, and I will do some gameplay. We'll show you just here in a second what we're doing. With the skill tree though, we've made some changes. So lunging strike is mandatory for PvP. We would probably go with either, we could, once we get enough crit, go for the berserking, which would be really, really fun. But right now I'm just using Frenzy actually. Haven't used Frenzy in a long time, but we're doing it. It gives us bonus attack speed, generates extra fury, but while berserking, your other skills gain 5% attack speed for each stack of friends that you have. And once again, we're always berserking, so this kind of gives us some synergy of more attack speed, which is pretty fun. We're going full points in double swing. I'm still using double swing that extends our berserk duration, which is really, really fun. Again, here's where it gives you resource when they're stunned or knocked down when you hit them. I am taking 3 out of 3 points in pressure point. We attack so fast that pressure point will usually proc on an elite at some point. We're definitely gonna get the exploit glyph when we can get it, but we're kind of just getting started with the glyph progression too. For the defense tree, eventually plus defensive skills will be amazing. Again, because we just might, if we don't use Warcry, which we probably still will, we can just use all of these. But I don't think we will. But we'll probably just switch this to this, and it'll still be amazing to get plus defense skills. So we're using the ground stomp that gives you more rage. It's huge for this, but being able to just stun something and then start to go into work with double swing is amazing, because sometimes even if you don't have any fury, I use the words fury and rage interchangeably. You just stun and go to work with double swing, so it feels really, really good to have stomp with extra fury gain. And you can change this talent for other things if you wanted to, you could, but that's what I'm doing. Rallying Cry, going for the extra fury generation and a little bit extra fury when you press it. Definitely want the unstoppable element. I did go back to challenging shout. I don't think I need it, but I mean it is nice to have damage reduction and more HP and the fury gain when you get hit with it. This is one that I could probably give up. I don't think I really want to give this up because it does give us berserking like on demand. And once we have berserking like forever pretty much. What's up, Lance? We have Booming Voice to make the shouts last longer. We have Raid Leader to give us some healing. And I get this question a lot. Raid Leader does heal you too. It's not just your teammates. It does heal you as well. Coming down to here, we're taking movement speed because movement speed's fun. Maybe you don't need it. Maybe you could go for combat stats more, but I like movement speed. Aggressive resistance. While berserking, you take 9% less damage. You're always berserk. So you're always taking 9% less damage. And while berserking, fury generation is increased by 18%. We're always berserking. 18% fury generation all the time is great. We are taking the talent point to give us more damage to close, less damage from further away. Now, if I was going to take out movement speed, I could take out movement speed from here, and I can also put it here, where you have increased critical strike chance against immobilized, stunned, or slowed. That would be a good option for PvE. For PvP, I think movement speed is too good. But you know what I might do today? Let's experiment with this, because enemies are stunned like all the time, so that's just 9% increased chance to crit. Let's try it for PvE for the little gameplay that we're going to do in a second. We're taking 1 point in thick skin. I'd love to take more points in it, but we don't really have the points right now, so we're just going thick skin. And then we're going into counter-offensive. While you have Fortify, you deal 12% increased damage. That is pretty nice, because we don't have an insane Fortify right now, but it'll get there. We're taking attack speed with one-handed weapons, because we're using one-handed weapons for everything now. We're no longer doing any kind of weapon swapping. But we still are using Wallop to do more damage to stun vulnerable enemies. The main thing we really want to do is just get 3 out of 3 concussion for a 30% chance to stun enemies for 3 seconds with our one-handers. We're also taking 1 point Tempered Fury to get into 3 points in Invigorating Fury. You generate and spend immense amounts of rage with this build, so you're healing a good amount of your health frequently. And then you'll notice instead of taking Walking Arsenal, we're taking Unconstrained. So when I'm talking about constantly being Berserk, this is what I mean. So increase Berserking's maximum duration by 5 seconds and increase its damage bonus by 25%. So we're already dealing 50% increased damage while Berserk, and then any kind of damage while berserking increases we have are added on to that, which is really, really fun. The other thing that we could do is this could be interesting, Unbridled Rage, but I feel like that's going to really throw off the amount of rage you generate versus the amount of rage that you spend, so I'm not so sure about that. I think Unconstrained is a talent that nobody really uses, and I'm very curious to try it out, and I think Double Swing is kind of where you do it, so that's our actual talent point acquisition or allocation for right now. In terms of Paragon, we're just getting started. I went this side to grab the damage node. We're going to go here for... right now we have Ire, because we basically need some strength glyph. Because it's just really easy to get the strength from these 2 nodes. And that'll be good for something. This is just more damage dealt while berserking, which is cool. We could eventually put something else there if we wanted to, but I think this is a fine choice for now. I think, in terms of Paragon progression, I may go for Warbringer early. That could be pretty fun, just to make sure that we have like just infinite Fortify. That'd be nice. But there's some really fun things that you could try out. Like this one has like one-handed benefits, and it has like damage while berserking. Stuff would be cool too. Down in here, this is mace node, but it might be for 2-handed maces. So I'll have to check out what I want to do exactly. We will definitely go Decimator for the vulnerable bonuses for sure. But yeah, some of these berserking ones can be really fun, so I'm trying to maybe experiment with some things that we didn't lean into as heavy with our other build, but we'll see. We'll see. We have some options, but maybe I'll just go Warbringer first. Definitely you're going to want, like, Exploit. I don't even have all the glyphs, but definitely you're going to want Exploit. We can, once again, use Disembowel for cooldown reduction, which will be amazing. Ire is one I haven't used before that I will use now. We'll use, like, Territorial for, like, the close range damage thing, which would be really, really fun, so... We've got some options. We got some cool glyphs. Maybe we'll even, yeah, probably I'll like Undaunted as well for the Fortify, extra damage. You could use Imbiber. You know, you could like all these different glyphs that you know, are very interesting for this build that we could try out. So this will be kind of like a new frontier. But I mainly want to go over the skill tree for you guys because I think that's like the main difference. I will go ahead and get this build programmed into Mobalytics, and you guys will be able to find that by typing !builds on my Twitch chat. And you'll also be able to find it just by, you know, following the links in the description of the YouTube videos and stuff. But let's go do some gameplay real quick. Let's go find our way into some dungeons just so we can show you guys what we're dealing with. Let's see, I don't really want to find one that's, like, super annoying. But Blood Blister and Burning Damage should be fine. Dead Man's Dredge is a cool dungeon. What's up, Quinn? Thanks for the raid, man. Hope all is well with you. I think we don't really have anything to use. I don't have any potions that are good. I could just probably chuck one on, though. Call it good, or just go potionless. I don't think it really matters. Just use this one. Anyway. Let's go run this Dead Man's Dredge real quick to get some gameplay for you guys, too. But, yup. Yup. Let's do this. But this build, it was like a little slow and steady while leveling. Oops. I also changed my keybind for interact because the Y button for interact also like if you spam it can automatically spend your XP at the end of these dungeons, so it's kind of annoying. So now I'm gonna have to retrain my muscle memory to pick things up and interact with this new button, but whatever. Anyway, the build started off a little slow. It felt like it was fine, but it was a little slow and steady, and it was definitely getting carried hard by what's it called? By Deathblow. But now that we have gone this route, we're pretty much just cooking. I gotta remember to press a different button for ground stomp too. Once you get your stuns rolling, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So definitely picking up the pace a little bit with this build, which I do like. Let's blood blister out of here. So did I must have just glossed over it. We do have an aspect that gives me damage with ground slam. I forget what piece of gear that's on, but like, you know, or my ground stomp, it makes like a little puddle of damage. If you stand in that damage effect, it buffs your damage, right? That's in there somewhere in the build. I don't know if I'm going to stick with that, because I don't know if I'm always going to want to be attached to ground stomp, even though it is really good. But yeah, this build has ascended into shredder mode, but you'll see that my berserk is just always up. And the funny thing is, you don't even have to actually hit mobs with your ability, with double swing, to keep berserk up. So that guy just got knocked down all the way over there. What the heck? Did he get hit with a little thingy? I don't know how that works. Anyway. You can just press double swing. And in pressing double swing, it still extends your, what's it called? Your, berserk. Pretty funny. So, like, if there's no mobs around, you can still just press it one time, and it'll keep it going. Was I getting disobedience off that too? Is that what it said? So you're seeing my normal, like, kind of aspect AoE going off, and then I follow up with a ground stomp. Pretty good. Pretty speedy. And the frenzy element of it is kind of fun just for increasing your attack speed even further. This build is 100% the kind of thing that could end up playing without any kind of builder. Yeah, once you get the stuns in them, there's a wail on him for a little bit. Feels very Fury Warrior. I think this would be really cool with Ramaladni's. You would be giving up one of your one-handers, like mace stun element for it, but the extra damage from Ramaladni's could be worth it. And aspects like same ones that we normally would use, like Limitless Rage, Edge Master, that kind of stuff. Definitely still very good for this build. But the Dust Devils are pretty fun. They're just popping off constantly. I like it. And there's two different kinds, right? There's the you generate 100 rage and a Dust Devil pops off, but there's also the one where if you know, cast 2 double swings. So basically every other double swing is going to give you a Dust Devil, which is hilarious. And awesome. But what ends up happening is I'm noticing that this build kind of is falling back into just the triple shout, builder, spender, and then some kind of utility. Right? Like sort of style that we've played so many times before, but that's a style that I don't mind. It's fun to play. And we know it well. And it ends up feeling a lot kind of like the Bleed Zerker build that we had done and enjoyed so much before. But Bleed Zerker is probably still popping off just fine. Are we stuck? What's going on here? Stuck in the freezies. I think I hit here. But the amount of fortify that we have and the amount of rage that we generate and spend kind of ends up lending itself to some nice tankiness. So far so good. Let's chop this up real quick. One thing where it could struggle is fighting bosses, right? Because, again, you're so reliant on stunning a target to have good resources that it could struggle against bosses. But eventually, when you have really, really good resource generation, you might be fine. One of the fun things that you can do with this setup, too, is there's a really nice ring aspect that gives you rage per second while Berserk. And it can give you 6 rage per second while Berserk, which is kind of the same thing as the Shout one, right? Except it's even better. So eventually I will probably drop the shout one for that, once I get a good one. Because again, we're always enraged. So, and by enraged I mean berserk. I use Fury and Rage interchangeably, and I use enraged and berserking interchangeably. Let's scrap this thing real quick. But I do feel like I'm hardly ever really basic attacking. So just for dungeoning alone, you probably could get rid of it, but the basic attack. But I'm still using basic attacks definitely on bosses. The good thing about fighting bosses, though, despite you having to be kind of relying on stuns, is that you stack up your stagger meter really fast, which is nice. So I don't think we have a boss in this place, but if we did, it'd be kind of fun to show that. I think maybe most of these don't have a boss, but whatever. Not the most AoE, but if you do have your Dust Devils going, it is a bit of AoE. Especially like in enclosed space dungeons like this, where the Dust Devils just bounce off all the walls and stuff constantly. Pretty funny. Another thing that's a little bit weird with this one is when enemies get on DR, right? They become unstoppable for a short period of time. That can, definitely hurt your damage and resource generation, but generally that's not like a huge problem. And eventually, when the exploiter glyph works, that could actually be to your advantage, right? Yeah, chains are great. You can use chains in this build too, for the vulnerability and for the berserking. Because eventually what you could do is you could swap off of the berserk extension to go for vulnerability on double swing. I just think the berserk extension is just way insane. It's like probably one of the best things about double swing is it allows you to play these like super berserk heavy builds. And you can do it with other things. You can do it like with death blow or with chains. As long as there's something that allows you to stay berserk, you can do it. But again, this unconstrained part is pretty neat. The thing about unconstrained compared to some of the other ones, it's going to take some gear investment to really get unconstrained popping, because you're going to want to benefit from as much damage while berserking as you can. And that whenever something requires like a particular type of stat on your gear, it just makes it a teeny tiny bit more tricky to get. So even the little Dust Devils can apply your stuns, which is hilarious. So this build is definitely a little weird, but it's not bad. And when you don't have a stun on somebody, you can just walk up to them and just wail on them with frenzy until they get stunned, and then eventually they will. You just go to work. But I think that one guy was like not stunned. So what, like in this situation right here, where they're immune to CC, it's like it's a little bit weird. But then they come out of their unstoppable and just gets back to beating on them. But I think that this build will definitely scale with damage while berserking. It'll scale with attack speed. It'll scale with being tanky with fortify and stuff like that. I just think that the one thing that's kind of weird is the reliance on a stun to really feel effective. But then again, you have so many stuns, so your real enemy is just diminishing returns. Like I said, if they fix the exploiter glyph, that would be amazing, and if they fix the berserk ripping, that would be amazing. Currently, those glyphs, sorry, not glyphs, aspects, currently they just don't do anything. Like, berserk ripping just does nothing. But it would be insane for this build because we're constantly berserk, right? So if we could get that, that would be awesome. Because it's just free damage, basically, right? Just free bleed. And then we could probably swap out of this sword bleed to go like into axe or something else, right? That'd be good. That'd be good. Chop, chop. So my vulnerable, like, again, we don't start with vulnerable on him, but it does proc eventually. Oh, nice. We got the rupture sword, looks like. Just in time to swap back to Rend, baby. Let's go. It's time. Nah. But that's how the build plays out. Just a lot of stuns, a lot of beatdowns. Pretty smooth. We'll rank up Ire, I think. Do we have exploit yet? No, there's exploit. Well, Ire is going to be something we use immediately, so I think may as well we do Ire, and then once we get to exploit, we can level that one up. Let's do it. Take the damage while berserking. That'll be fun. But that's the build for now, team. We're gonna keep working on it. We'll keep you guys posted. I'll go through and populate the basics of this on Mobalytics, and be ready to rock. If you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you guys show the video some love. Make sure you sub for plenty more D4 content from me. If you guys are watching on Twitch, make sure you show the video some love on YouTube. Keep an eye out for more D4 content from me, but we're just getting our day going here on Twitch, and definitely want to start off with a little bit of a build overview though, but so far so good. Definitely a lot of fun.